Like many sports fans around the world, soccer coach Simon Clifford was fascinated by the supernatural skills of Brazilian soccer players. Unlike most fans, however, he decided to go to Brazil to see if he could find out how they developed those skills. Once there, Clifford spent most of his time exploring the thronging expanse of Sao Paulo, Brazil, sleeping in roach-infested dormitories by night and scribbling notes by day. He saw many things he'd expected to find: the passion, the tradition, the highly organized training centers, and the long practice sessions. But Clifford also saw something that he didn't expect: a strange game. It resembled soccer, if soccer were played inside a phone booth. The ball was half the size but weighed twice as much. It hardly bounced at all. The players trained not on a vast expanse of grass, but on a basketball-sized court made of concrete. Each side, instead of having 11 players, had 5 or 6. In its rhythm and blinding speed, the game resembled basketball or hockey more than soccer. It consisted of an intricate series of quick, controlled passes and non-stop end-to-end action. The game was called futsal. Futsal had been invented in 1930 as a rainy day training option by a Uruguayan coach. Brazilians quickly seized upon it and codified the first rules in 1936. Since then, the game has spread like a virus, especially in Brazil's crowded cities, and it quickly came to occupy a unique place in Brazilian sporting culture. Other nations played futsal, but Brazil became uniquely obsessed with it, in part because the game could be played anywhere. No small advantage in a nation where grass fields are rare. Futsal grew to command the passions of Brazilian kids in the same way that pickup basketball commands the passions of inner-city American kids. The influence of futsal is reflected in the number of elite soccer players who learned the game playing futsal. From Pelé onward, virtually every great Brazilian player played futsal as a kid, first in the neighborhood and then later at Brazil's soccer academies. A top Brazilian player spends thousands of hours at the game. Until he was 12, the great soccer player Robinho spent half of his training time playing futsal. Dr. Emilio Miranda, professor of soccer at the University of Sao Paulo, can identify the futsal influence within famous Brazilian soccer players. That elastico move that Robinho popularized, drawing the ball in and out like a yo-yo, that originated in futsal. One reason lies in the math. Futsal players touch the ball far more often than soccer players, 6 times more per minute. The smaller, heavier ball demands more precise handling. Sharp passing is paramount. Ball control and vision are crucial. When futsal players play the full-size game, they feel as if they have acres of free space in which to operate. Futsal compresses soccer's essential skills into a small box. It places players inside the deep practice zone, making and correcting errors, constantly generating solutions to vivid problems, etc. Players touching the ball 600% more learn far faster without even realizing it than they would in the vast, bouncy expanse of the outdoor game. When Simon Clifford saw futsal, he got excited. He returned to his home in Leeds, England, quit his teaching job, and founded the International Confederation of Football, de Saldo, in a spare room of his house, developing a soccer program for kids that he called the Brazilian Soccer School. He constructed an elaborate series of drills based on the futsal moves that he had seen. So let's step back a moment and take an objective look at what Clifford was doing. He was running an experiment to see whether Brazil's million-footed talent factory could be reproduced in an utterly foreign land via this small, silly game. He was betting that the act of playing futsal would cause some glowing kernel of Brazilian magic to take root in chilly Leeds, England. When the citizens of Leeds heard of Clifford's plan, they were mildly entertained. When they actually witnessed his school in action, They were in grave danger of laughing themselves to death at the spectacle. Dozens of pale, pink-cheeked, thick-necked Yorkshire kids kicking around small, too heavy soccer balls, learning fancy tricks to the tune of samba music. It was a laugh. Except for one detail. Clifford was right. 4 years later, Clifford's team of under 14-year-olds defeated the Scottish national team of the same age, then went on to beat the Irish national team as well. One of his Leeds kids, a defender named Micah Richards, now plays for the English national team. Clifford's Brazilian soccer school has expanded to 12 countries around the world. And more stars, Clifford says, are on the way.